Boys and girls, welcome to episode 158 of Nerdpod Generations. As always, I am one of your illustrious hosts, Steve Taylor, along with the lovely Al Jetsam. Hello, sir.
Hello, friends and enemies.
Woo, it's been a week, man.
Man, it's been two.
It has been two, yeah. We missed recording last week because there was a lot going on.
Dude, it's been crazy.
It's been a crazy...
Without going into any of the gory details, it's been fucking wonky.
Yeah, that's a good term, wonky.
Ever since the computer ate our homework.
Oh, yeah,
everything's been... to the walls, man, to the walls.
Technology has come up to bite us, just like Skynet came to life, took over our lives, terminated it.
You know, at this point, I might take Skynet over certain things that are going on in the world.
You're not lying about that. So, folks, this is Nerdpod Generations, episode 158. If this is your first time listening to us, please go back and listen to our back catalog. So we have 157 episodes of pure gold. And to find us, you can go to nerdpodgen.com, and there are links to both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. There's also links to YouTube, which we do have some clips up of former shows where you can go and listen to those. And there's also some personal clicks, different things, different projects we've done, and ways to just know more about us.
Art, writing, all the good stuff.
Yeah, all the positive stuff, stuff we like. So we do like to start every episode with, what have you been watching, playing, reading? And we've been having some meaty ones because a lot's been going on.
Yeah, I was about to ask, where do you want to start with this?
All right, so I'm thinking, why don't we start, I'll go through my stuff real quick because I just got to touch on a few things.
Okay.
First off, I am deep into Xenoblade Chronicles X still. I got my skells, so I'm flying around in my awesome mechs, and it's great, and I love the game. I'm 60 hours in right now.
Wow, look at you.
And I'm not doing any of the main story anymore. I'm like 3/4 of the way done with the main story. I am just doing every task known to man. So
yeah.
Love it. I do want to touch on Doctor Who real quick, because I know I am currently watching this new season.
And there was some news. Some news broke on Doctor Who's.
What was the news?
I had heard.
I'm trying to remember.
I haven't found out if this is verified yet, but there are rumors going around that Ncuti
yes
is Gatwa is leaving.
Yes, that's not a rumor. That is actually,
and that Eccleston is coming back for a one-off.
See, that one, I don't know if that's true or not.
I would be kind of shocked if it was true, because the way that I saw it framed was that it was going to be like the David Tennant thing, where Gatwa was going to regenerate into Eccleston, and then they were going to bring back Billie Piper, who's in an alternate reality, last I checked.
She was in an alternate
reality. And she's married to another version of the Doctor.
And honestly, the thing that allowed Tennant to come back is that Tennant still looked like...
Yeah.
This is... Now it's been 20 years since Eccleston. He does not look like he did when he was the Doctor. And so I don't... The only reason I don't see this happening is they are still on and on about them trying to reinvent the Doctor, which pisses me off, because that drives me out of my mind. It's like, the fans are still alive that made the show what it is. You can't just reinvent it. You gotta try to evolve it, like they started to do with this new Doctor and what they did with Jodie Whittaker. But then they fucked it up because they decided, and this is one of the things that's irritating me about this new series, is you have this rogues gallery of characters and you're not using any of them.
No.
Jodie Whittaker, they brought some back towards the end of her time just because they realized the mistake they made. But now they're making that same mistake. They brought back the Toy Maker at the beginning of last season, but that was a character that no one remembers from like the 70s.
That wasn't like the Daleks.
No.
Or the Cybermen.
No,
or the Weeping Angels.
At all.
Or I want to say Scuds. They're not Scuds. The potato people that...
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Solarans. So... I love the actor that plays the Doctor. I'm not going to butcher his name.
Yeah.
I do not like the writing for the show. They're obviously trying to change things too much, because this Doctor is not the Doctor I'm sorry. I know that their personalities change and they have different quirks when they regenerate into the new Doctors, but this one is completely different in every way, and that is the only thing that's driving me kind of nuts. And it is stuck to it. And I saw the coming attraction for next episode. This Doctor literally has cried in every episode. I am not joking. He has shed a tear in every fucking episode. And it's like, that's his thing. He cries. And I'm like, I don't get, like, it's not, you can't alter a 2,000-year-old being's personality that much that all of a sudden they cry when things go wrong.
See, I don't mind crying. I would be more upset by, like, paralyzed by fear. That would be something.
Which is part of it, too.
Yeah.
But, like, the crying, the only reason the crying thing bothers me is it's like, there have been episodes that it has been necessary. Like the one last season where he was trying to help a group of people, but because he was black, they didn't want to take his help, and they were all going to their death, and there was nothing he could do about it.
Yeah. And
he was shedding a tear for their ignorance.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
Yeah.
But now you just have him crying in every fucking episode. It's like, dude, you have seen more death than any being in the universe. And somebody that you just met dies and you're crying about it. It's like, it's not your character.
Usually we see the Doctor get angry at that point.
Yes.
Not weepy. I don't mind weepy, but I agree with you. There has to be a through line. You have to earn it. Like, even something as simple as when Tennant shows up and one of the first things he says is, "Oh, I'm rude? I guess I'm rude." Like, there's some acknowledgement of, like, I'm a different person. And even I'm taken aback by that sometimes. And so I think if you had that, I haven't watched it, so I can't speak to it. But I think if you had something like that, you might be able to heal some boundaries there.
So this season starts off, we meet his new companion named Belinda. Which she was a character in an episode last season, and it was one of those things that now she's
going to take over as the actual companion.
Well, she's a completely different person. She's a nurse on
Earth. A classic Doctor Who.
Yes.
Martha's twin.
Yes. Well, like the Pompeii episode that had both
Karen
Peter
Gillan
Capaldi and Karen Gill in it. So this one, so they become companions. The first episode was all right. It's the big problem I'm having with this Doctor once again is just the villains are terrible. Like the baddies in these episodes are so fucking bad.
Yeah.
And the first episode I was kind of The second one, which I watched today, the more I think about it, the more I like it.
Okay.
Because it was unique.
Is this the animated episode?
Yes.
I know they did an animated episode.
And it was very unique. And I didn't know what to make of it as it was going on. But now that I'm looking at it, it's like, the bad guy ends up getting dispersed. Like the episode ends with the bad guy getting taken out in not as satisfying a way as I would like. Mm-hmm. But the acting was really good. The characterization was really good. You're seeing the metamorphosis of the companion from being super combative and not wanting anything to do with the Doctor in the first episode. Not giving a shit that he's in a spaceship. Not giving a shit it's a time machine. She just wants to go back to her time that he took her from. But there's something that's preventing them from going back to that exact day. So they're trying to figure that out. And in doing so, they go back to the 1950s where there's this theater and this light being takes over an animated reel and all of this chaos happens. So when the Doctor and his companion get there, the theater it was in, it's in Miami in the 50s. So, of course, which they didn't make it too slap in the face, but they did make it known that him and his companion, who's Indian, were not welcome in the 50s in Florida. And he luckily was not like taken aback like he was in that one episode. It's like, about the history of humanity, So like he gets there, he goes, we're not the people that should be talking to or like being out in public. And but like they have some really interesting special effects. There's a couple that's a little weird, but then the Doctor and his companion get stuck in film, and this is a spoiler. If you've not seen this, there's some spoilers, but I want to talk about this part. So they get stuck in film, and it's almost like a a Last Action Hero thing where they're stuck in the film, and they realize the only way to get out is to actually break through the TV. So literally break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
So they break through a TV where there are 3 Doctor Who fans watching it, and they start freaking out.
Okay.
Because it's the Doctor.
Now, Doctor Who fans, our world, or Doctor Who fans, Whovian world?
Our world.
No, I'm not going to give you that, man.
No, but here's the thing. But they weren't real. This is where it gets weird.
Okay.
Because even though they broke through the fourth wall, they're still trapped in the film.
Okay.
So this is what the creature created.
Okay. I'll allow that.
Knowing what fans of this... But it was kind of fun because they're freaking out, and they explain to the Doctor and Belinda, you're not real. You're in the TV.
Yeah.
Like, we watch your show. We love you. And what was funny is he asked them what their favorite episode was. And they're like, blank, blank. They all said blank, which is the Weeping Angels.
Yeah.
But what made me mad about that, when Belinda asked them, well, what's blank? And they're like, oh, you just can't blank. It's like, they never say Weeping Angels. I'm like, you can't even say the name of the bad guys? Who says just you can't blink? It's like, no, there are these fucking angels.
That means nothing out of context.
No! That's what drove me nuts.
Absolutely nothing out of context.
But it made for a sweet moment when they realize that they're not real.
Mm-hmm.
And the Doctor realizes it at the same time. And as soon as they go back into the TV to try to escape, they just will disappear from existence. But what was awesome is they said, we got to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the ultimate fandom thing where it's like, I don't care that I'm dying.
Yeah.
I got to meet the thing I loved the most.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool.
That's cool. I'm glad that they didn't do what I thought they were going to do, which is like, our fans are toxic. Let's introduce you to 3 of our fans, and they're going to be toxic towards you, even though you're everything that they should want.
They did almost, like, they didn't do the toxic thing. Well, because it was 2 women and a guy.
Okay.
And they, at one point, said, yeah, people think we're weird. But I think that's like harking back to the old days.
That's fine. I meant more like they would reject or disown the Doctor when they met him. Like, oh, you're not my Doctor.
No.
You're black.
But the funny part is,
I can't take you seriously.
They did criticize the writing of the episode we were watching.
Okay.
Which was awesome.
Okay.
They're like, you gave away everything. We know how this is going to end.
Yeah.
And like they were talking about how the writing was so bad. I'm like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Because the writing has been crap since it started to get back again.
See, like, because my experience with everything post Pons, really, I was going to say post Matt Smith, but it began before Matt Smith. When the Pons left the show, that was when, for me, the show took a turn into this other weird space. As soon as he pulls that plum jacket out, I'm like, this is a different guy. This isn't the Doctor I know.
Doctor.
This is a different guy. And I felt like watching Capaldi, they leaned too heavily on the established monsters. So I liked in Whittaker how they moved away from that. But I agree with you now. At this point, you have to reintegrate the original monsters. Otherwise, it's becoming something else.
Yes.
It's morphing into something else, and you need that stability of having the Master show up, of having the Daleks show up, of having to explain. There's such an important moment when the Daleks show up, and you get to look around and see if anybody recognizes them.
Yeah.
Because if no one recognizes them, that speaks volumes about what's about to happen. So if you remove all that stuff and it's all just new villains or like so nouveau and updated that they don't seem like anything we recognize, then it's like Marvel, it's like anybody else who's doing adaptations, you're doing a disservice to yourself and to the fandom because that is part of what we love about the thing.
Well, and that's the thing in the the current showrunner, which is
Davies, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't think of his first
Russell
name.
T.
Russell T. Davies. He has said numerous times that he's writing these for the modern fan base, which once again, he's using that stupid, and it's like, dude.
Don't do that.
And that's why it is truly tanking the franchise.
Yeah.
You got to keep it, once again, you can evolve it, but you got to keep it looking enough like what everyone fell in love with.
Yeah. It's like if when we meet Clara and she's the souffle girl in the Dalek.
Yes.
Now it's not a Dalek. Now it's some new monster that we've never seen before. Well, I don't have the same kind of repertoire of understanding for what this is. So now it's not shocking to me when it's revealed that there's a girl inside this Dalek. It means nothing to me. If you change something like that so drastically, when the Cybermen are taking over in the Capaldi era, and I think it's Clara's boyfriend gets turned into a Cyberman. Yeah. Again, if you change that to like the Tooth Monster that comes after Jodie Whittaker, it really changes a lot of things. It's not just one thing. Don't write it for the modern fans. Write it for the fans.
Yes.
Don't do this. Whatever this is, don't do it, because this is the same as Marvel saying we don't need the fans that got us here. We have a whole fan base that just knows us, the films.
Yes.
We don't need anybody who reads the comics. No. That's so hyperbolically short-sighted. I can't even begin to tell you how bad it is.
Because if you look at the Marvel fan base, they are, and I think I've made this analogy before, it's like the Wii fan base, where you got the new people in, but then you keep making the games for the new people, but the new people get burned out because they really don't care about it.
No.
And then they stop playing, or they stop going to the movies and stop watching the shows. And that's what Marvel's running into now, where it's like, you're changing it too much that the people that will keep it successful are leaving, along with the people that never really gave a shit.
Yeah.
They just wanted to see flashy lights in action.
Well, and like you're claiming an audience that by and large is seen as juvenile and stupid.
Yeah.
And you're claiming that as your core audience. And I'm like, that wasn't the, I mean, like, okay, granted, when, Thor 2 and Captain America 2 and all these other movies came out, it wasn't like Marvel fans were on some pinnacle pedestal, right? We were still made fun of. But like over the next 5 years after that, I really feel like it took this turn to, oh, there's a new Marvel movie out.
Yeah.
I don't need to know anything about it. I don't need to know what characters are in it. It's just a new Marvel movie. It's going to be the same as last year's Marvel movie and the one before that. It's just going to be different characters in a new setting. And I'm like, that's wrong, man. You're taking the wrong lesson away from this, dude. That's not how you do it. That's a really good way to set yourself up for failure, because people who are into this are deeply into it.
Yeah.
And like how Star Trek fans, in my case, like I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of Next Gen, but I know my favorite character is Lieutenant Barclay. Okay. When I say that, immediately, that I've seen more than just one season of Next Gen. Yeah. Right? So like you can't water it down to this point where someone's like, my favorite character is Worf. I've only seen 3 episodes, but I like Worf. He's dumb and funny, and he likes to fight things. I like Worf. Great. So now this is for nobody.
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm going to keep watching, but supposedly next episode's supposed to be another horror, scary episode. Kind of reminds me of, there's one Water of Mars.
Oh, I like Water on Mars.
This looks similar to that as far as the tone, and it looks like it takes place in a space station somewhere.
Well, like, again, the reason I like that one is not because of the plot. It's because of the anger that David Tennant brings to that role. That is the you finally reached fuck it.
And I think you just nailed it. That's the one thing, that's the one emotion this Doctor has never really shown. He's never gotten pissed.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is the one thing that deep down is always in the Doctor, enough to get him to wipe out his entire race.
You have to remember, this guy is genocidal.
He is worse than any mass murder in the history of the universe.
If not by nature, by necessity.
Exactly.
He is willing to take that line and says, this is a necessary evil that I will cross. That was always one of the things I loved about Tennant, was anytime Tennant went too far, and you were like, dude, I can't do this with you. Whatever this is, you saying that you are the controller of time and space, I can't follow you down this hole. And then the Ood comes out and is like, dude, you fucked up.
Yeah.
You fucked up. And the other one where he literally fights the devil.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you gotta back off. This is not the play, man. You're taking on a darkness that you can't walk away from if you do this. And just like, I will admit, I have not seen enough Doctor Who to say that those moments don't happen, but the episodes of Doctor Who I have seen, none of them have had that kind of emotional punch of like, you're watching the character destroy themselves because they are just so manic at what's happening around them. And they know they're the only person that can save the day. They know no one else can help. This is on them. And that's one of the things I like about superheroes is like, there's one guy who can do this.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about episode 7 of Daredevil in a little bit. Matt was the one guy who could do it. Mm-hmm. He was the only guy who could do it. The Doctor, more than any other being across time and space, is the one guy who's going to be able to do this.
Yes.
And there has to be some snark. There has to be some wit. There has to be, like, even when you have changes to the Doctor, Eccleston, Capaldi, Tennant, Smith, Whitaker, they were all snarky, smarter than their enemy, knew they were smarter than their enemy. But, like, were also humble enough to know when they had overestimated themselves.
Yes.
When they had put themselves in a position of like, oh, this is fine. And then they look around, they're like, you know what? Maybe not fine. Maybe this isn't fine. Maybe we got to come up with a new plan. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen enough of Gatwa to know where he lands on that line. But as I was watching Capaldi and Whitaker, I did feel like those moments were depleting. Mm-hmm. And even ones where like Matt Smith goes on the dark side, like I was talking about, and starts doing things that he, as the Doctor, would never have done even like 5 years ago. Mm. Even those moments didn't really ring true or deep to me like War on Mars does, where like I think it's because there's immediate repercussions. Like he says, I am the master of time and space. I control all of this. It's me. I'm the one. I can control it. I can run this whole thing. And then the Ood shows up and is like, dude, you fucked up. And now time and space is going to erase you.
There's a reason number 10 is the best.
Yeah. So,
David Tennant. So, I'm going to keep watching once again. We're going to see what happens with Doctor Who. But now, moving forward, we want to touch on real quick. Andor Season 2 comes out. As of recording of this, comes out tomorrow.
Yes.
The trailer looks promising. First season was great.
First season I liked a lot. I will say Andor Season 1 was, for me, a little bit of a slow burn. I didn't really get into it until the prison episodes. Once we got to the prison, then I was deeply into it. But I still remember all the stuff on the planet where they're trying to set up the sabotage and stuff. And I'm like, this feels kind of meandering. It feels like we don't really know where we're going. And I still have not forgiven them for Norman Bates, who shows up several times in the trailer.
And there's no real payoff.
My parents were like, no, there was payoff. I was like, that is the most minimal payoff of all time. He falls in love with the terrible woman, and that's his
I'm curious to see what the payoff's going to be.
Exactly. So it has to be something, because we have spent so much time with Norman Bates that if it's nothing...
Oh, it's got to be something.
But at the same time, I would almost be like, just drop him as a storyline. Yeah. Because at this point, I don't know that anything could justify the amount of time and energy we've spent on Norman Bates and whether he's going to kill his mom over a bowl of cereal or not.
God, we wanted him to kill her.
This is what I'm saying!
The thing that gives me hope for this, and what I love, and why this speaks to me above anything else Star Wars has ever done, this is realistic of what the Empire takeover. When in the trailer there is a scene of a I don't want to say riot, it's more like a protest.
Yeah.
And the stormtroopers go in there and just waste everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is what, as much, it sounds demented of me to say that's what I want to see, but that's what the side of Star Wars that we never really saw in the earlier movies, where it's like, behind all of the flashy Skywalker saga, there's a dark underbelly of shit.
There's a whole thing. Well, that was one of the things when I was growing up, was before we got into the dark underbelly of everything, there was this ongoing argument of what is the Empire even about?
Yeah.
Like when we were growing up, the Empire didn't have any specific goal.
No.
It was just a big evil thing that had a rebellion, and we were on the side of the rebels. And so, of course, the Galactic Empire is evil.
Yeah.
And now Star Wars is trying to actually explore what makes the Galactic Empire evil, which I love.
Oh,
I fucking love that. That is one of my favorite things about Andor, is that last episode where we go back to the first planet that they were on, and the revolution really, truly begins. Like, that was like, okay, we're finally getting a lot of information on where a lot of this stuff comes from. Good to know. I'm glad that we have this.
And in leading up to this, I mentioned this to you, that I haven't got around to watching Andor Season 1 again, but I did watch Rogue One.
Yes.
Which for those of you who don't know, is my by far favorite Star Wars movie. Goddamn, that scene at the end with Donnie Yen's character walking on one with, it is such a badass scene. And then his friend, who is Baz Malbus, when he runs out after Donnie Yen gets shot and he jumps up and just starts wasting everybody, I was like, dude, that's the greatest scene. Well, like, it's so amazing.
Some of us were around in 2015 when Disney was like, we have a Vietnam War Apocalypse Now Star Wars coming out, and we were like, dope. And then they cut a bunch of it. And
I still want to see that. There's got to be a director's cut of that somewhere.
I know.
You have to release the Snyder cut of that movie.
I still say it's probably that middle section. That I say that because that's the section I dislike the most of that movie. I feel like that's when Jin and Andor have their whole team together and they fly to intercept Galen.
Yep.
That whole sequence, and she goes out in the raid, and then he has orders to kill Galen, and he has to keep. I hate that sequence. It feels like such a hold place.
Yeah.
Of like, well, we needed to squish out like another 20-ish minutes out of this movie, and so we came up with this because we could film it in the dark and with wet.
See, and I think I would agree with you that makes sense that that's the reshoot.
Yeah.
I want to know what was in the original.
I know.
Because like even there are some scenes that were cut from the final battle that were in the trailer that are not in the movie.
Yeah.
And I would love to see a full cut of that final
Well, we
battle.
were supposed to have full-on AT-ATs walking through the water, attacking these rebels on this tropical planet. That was what we were sold. That was the bill of goods we were sold. And Disney was like, oh, we're trying to sell this to kids. We can't do this.
I hate that so much.
I
It doesn't have
know.
to be for kids.
It pisses me right off. And we're going to talk about it with Daredevil, too.
Oh,
because
God
it just
damn it.
pisses me right
Pisses
off.
me right off. My final thing, and I know this will take a lot of talking and saliva, is Fantastic Four.
New trailer drop for this. Okay, let's talk about the good.
Okay.
Let's talk about the good. The look is good.
The look is good. I am buying the 50s thing. I think they did a good job with the aesthetic.
I like the idea that this takes place around when the comic first launched.
Yes.
All these other ideas. I like that it's the first family. Great. Nathan Richards, you got to bring him in. He's important. He's a huge fundamental character in all this. Technically, one of the world's most powerful mutants.
Yes.
Because he's born with his powers, so he's technically a mutant. I like a lot of this. I like Vanessa Kirby, although the shot that they have, the classic Sue Storm shot, all that it needs is a little dribble of blood coming out of her nose, and then she passes out.
Because
and it's
honestly,
like,
you could almost take her out and put Jessica Alba in there because she had the exact same pose.
Exactly. They did the whole thing, and I'm just like, I don't know, guys. I feel like we need to move on. Sue is, and I'm not kidding, the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And it's not close, okay? It's not even close. So, like, you got to do better than that. She has to have a real role where she's not just the nurse mother for the entire team. And she can't just be, her job can't just be throwing up barriers to keep civilians from being crushed.
Yeah.
She has to actually have a role in this story. And it can't just be that she goes invisible and sneaks around it. No, she has to have a real role.
Yes.
Because she deserves that. I like Johnny. I think Johnny looks great.
Joseph Quinn.
Joey Quinn, our boy Eddie.
God,
he looks great.
He looks amazing.
The takeoff shots of him look great.
Yep.
Those are the ones that got me going. Like, okay, that's how Johnny looks. Him flying up into space, I'm like, listen, we've been here before. Other ones have done this better because they know that Johnny can't make upper atmosphere and not feel anything. And this Johnny seems to go up into the upper atmosphere and is fine. And I'm like, guys, that's not going to work.
And it looked like they were trying to recreate the RDJ moment from the first Avengers.
Yeah.
It's like,
this isn't, first off, not the same power set. Second off, how well do flames do in the vacuum of space?
Yeah.
Last I checked, flames have 3 elements that they need. Energy source, heat, and air.
Yeah.
And so when you remove all air, you can't have fire.
Yes.
So, and that's, I'm not saying this like scientifically. I'm saying that like that's been the case in Fantastic Four comics forever. Yeah. You know, unless you're on the green side of the moon or the blue side of the moon, that's been the entire time.
And you're not indestructible. So
No.
when you're in that part of the atmosphere and you don't have your flame power around you, you're dead.
You're dead. Well, and what's going to happen when he falls back to the planet?
Yeah.
At maximum velocity, you know? Is this going to be like the Red Bull guy that jumped out at low atmosphere? Because he still had a whole fucking suit.
Yeah.
So, like, it's fine. We're going to see what happens.
Yes.
Similar, Ben Grimm, I think, looks great until he doesn't.
Yes.
I think that there are some shots and some angles where he just doesn't look very good. And it's going to be tricky.
The thing I liked about the thing I liked about at least the action scenes showing him moving, like running, I think it looks like they got the proportions right
Yes.
of how he has to lean and everything.
I will say
that really look good.
The thing's head has always been a little small, but this thing's head seems
Really
particularly
small.
small.
Yeah, really small.
And so I would like to see that head just a little bit bigger, blow out those proportions just a little bit. His hands should be so big.
Yeah.
Like so big. So like it's fine. Reed looks great until he doesn't.
Yes.
There would never be a moment where Reed has a different costume than everybody else in the group. That has never happened. We've had 60, 70 years of Fantastic Four comics. They dropped in 1961, for fuck's sake. Never happened. They've always had united costumes, even to the point where Ben Grimm has stupid costumes sometimes so he can match the color patterns of the rest of the team. I hate that Reed doesn't have the white collar. I absolutely hate it. I hate it. That's such a clear miss of like, no one made you do that, but someone in the room thought, well, he's the leader, so he has to look different. No, he's not. No, he's not. For two reasons. One, as I said before, Sue is the emotional leader of the team. Reed makes decisions, but Reed is a terrible leader. He's an awful leader because he gets forgetful all the time. He always gets pulled into something else that's more interesting than what's going on in front of him. Okay? So don't do that. Don't do that. But I see one thing and then I see another. I see one thing and then I see another. I see Shayla Bell looks like she could be the Silver Surfer. Don't give her the Surfer's board and everything. Don't give her Norrin Radd's whole character arc. Like, you could have both. Here's an idea. Why not both? Why not both? I don't know. Galactus has had 4 to 5 heralds at a time. It's not like he's only ever had one herald. He has tons of heralds on a regular basis that cycle through. You know, Terrax and Firelord and all these other guys. You can have 2 surfers with this Galactus. If you're going to bend the rules, do that.
Yeah.
But don't just have her and then have her just be the Silver Surfer. Because that's...
Well, and what we talked about, it's like, you're starting it fresh.
Yeah.
This Silver Surfer was the first surfer.
Yes. Norrin Radd was the
Radd.
first surfer.
And here's another thing, and you can go back and look at this. How was the Silver Surfer from 20 years ago look 1,000 times better than this one? Like it was a CGI surfer in the original in the 2007.
Well, they had our boy Doug Jones in a skin tight costume, and then they just had Lawrence Fishburne record the voice.
Yeah,
I always love it whenever anybody attributes Lawrence Fishburne as a Silver Surfer. I'm like,
no, it's
barely, barely. Doug Jones is the Silver Surfer,
and it's like, I went back and looked, and like the animation, everything looked so much better than what this looks like.
Yeah.
This looks so bad.
Well, she looks like a cosmic prism.
Yes.
She looks like she's reflective. She looks like she has a lot of flat portions on her skin. So that she has like, it really does look like a prism where you have like these crystalline flat portions that come up to a peak. And I'm like, no, the surfer is like smooth, flat.
And
like,
she just looks fake.
And also, you have now a naked woman just riding around, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but I am saying that's going to be a distraction to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And whether that's right or wrong is another story, but I'm just saying, like, you're going to have a ton of people objectifying the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And that's just all that's going to happen, is you're going to have the half of people that are annoyed that this isn't the Silver Surfer that they know. The other half are going to objectify her. And then in the middle are going to be people that are like, I don't know any Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And that sucks, man. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say Norrin Radd is the best character and deserves to be on screen. But, like, there's no reason to do this.
No, he's the fucking Silver Surfer.
He's the Silver
I'm
Surfer.
So frustrated by this shit. It's like, listen.
He has a super complicated history.
And it's... How many hundreds of comic books are Silver Surfer comics?
He fights the Hulk on Planet Hulk.
Yes.
People forget that. He fights the Hulk using the board as a shield.
Yeah.
It's dope as hell. And people forget all about that. Surfer is the original one that comes to Earth and tells everybody that Thanos is coming. Where Hulk fell into Doctor Strange's house, that's where the Surfer appears. The Surfer is a complicated character because he comes into his own morality on more than one occasion where he looks around and he says, I gotta do this. And then he looks around and says, oh, but Galactus is actually good for the universe at the end of the day. And I hate that that's true, but it's palpably true. So now I gotta raise Galactus after I helped kill him. None of this is going to be in any of the movies because you've gotten rid of that character. And even if you take it and give it to Shia LaBeouf, it's going to feel false because it's taken from an entirely different character.
Yes.
If you wrote a new character and gave them all of Edmund's storylines, but it was a girl, everybody would see what you were doing. That nobody would be shocked if in the new Narnia there were 3 sisters and they just replaced Edmund with a new sister, but it was the exact same characterization. Mm-hmm. But it would feel wrong.
Yes.
It would feel cheap. It would feel like a gimmick. It wouldn't feel authentic or good.
Just said it. This feels like a gimmick.
Yes.
This feels like you're forcing, once again, we harp on this too much, but it's true. You're forcing diversity where you don't need to force it.
You're doing diversity badly.
Yes.
Where you need it. You do need the diversity. You absolutely need the diversity.
Absolutely do.
But you're doing it so poorly. There are female heralds of Galactus.
Yes! Yes! Thank you for saying it!
Like, I'm so frustrated by this because you've just taken yourself and put yourself into this position that's untenable and unwinnable.
Yes.
You've made it unwinnable now. There's no way I can sit here. You have to go above and beyond now to make this character good. You have to, what I would do in this situation is because this character has such a limited history to begin with, you have to write a whole new history for the character, which means that you can't take any of the original Silver Surfer stuff. You have to build a whole new canon. That's not what they're going to do because they don't have time to do that. So they're just going to steal everything from the original Silver Surfer, attribute it to this Silver Surfer, and anybody who knows different will be like, but this is wrong. This feels inauthentic. This feels like you've stolen, from one guy to pay your rent at another location. I don't get this. I don't understand this decision making, but that seems to be a lot of the Fantastic Four movie right now. Is it just seems to be interesting, unnecessary forced errors.
Yeah. And it seems like Marvel is trying to do the right thing, but they can't help themselves.
The Fantastic Car. Let's start easy.
Yeah.
Get the Fantastic Car right, okay? Get the Fantastic Car right. It's not a Cadillac, okay? It's not some blue lowrider. It is a flying car that splits off into 4 pieces that doesn't look like it should fly because it's from the fucking 1960s, which this movie is too. So it would work aesthetically with the movie you're building. Why are you making it into a Cadillac that rolls on the ground? This is stupid.
It's really dumb.
It's the Fantastic Car. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I hate the Spider-Man webmobile. I hate it because it's pointless and stupid. If you were going to do it, then you have to do it properly. I love the Thanos copter because it's hilarious and stupid. If you were going to do the Thanos copter, you would have to do it well.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just do
I
something
don't give a shit.
and then completely change it. Oh, the Thanos copter is now a fucking Apache War helicopter. No! No! You fully missed the point of this.
And you said this also. So this has to take place in a different universe.
It has to.
It has to. It has to take place in a different universe because there's no mention of S.H.I.E.L.D. or
Captain America,
any of that stuff.
It would be untenable if this took place in the core universe.
So you could have done 2 things. We didn't need Galactus. As much as I love Galactus and I've wanted Galactus, we didn't need Galactus. We needed either the Mole Man, or it's in a different universe. You could redo the Skrulls. This is your opportunity. And after I see the trailer, I'm just, once again, you're talking about missed opportunities. Those 2 were the first villains.
That would be a great double feature where it's like you have 2 problems. One is underground, one is coming from space.
Yes.
And you have the brilliant Reed Richards, the smartest man in the world. And he has to figure out how to fight a war on 2 fronts. One coming from under the ground, from a group of people that claim ownership over the land, white people style, and a group coming from space. And how are you going to deal with this? And the group coming from space can look like anybody.
And then when they finally connect it to the main universe, you would have the drama of the Fantastic Four dealing with Skrulls being good.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's a dynamic. But no, it's like, we're just going to fuck it up and let it roll.
But here's the thing. Marvel is going to try and sweep Secret Invasion under the rug like they did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and other things. They are not going to acknowledge that as real. They're not going to acknowledge that actually happened at any point. They are not going to write it into any plots. I would not be surprised if Maria Hill shows up alive and well at some
I
point.
hope so, because that was, I don't even want to think about that show. I think it was so fucking
Oh, it was
bad.
a fucking tragedy.
It was the worst.
It was so
It was
bad.
the worst.
It was terrible.
So, as everything with Marvel, which I know in like a week, no, not in a week.
Thunderbolts comes
now.
out right around the corner.
Well, Thunderbolt comes out soon, but right now on demand you can get Captain America: Brave New World. So that's going to be coming to Disney Plus soonish.
Soon, and when it does, we'll review it then.
We'll watch it then. So, I mean, anything with Marvel nowadays,
it's always dicey.
I don't have any faith.
So dicey.
Zero faith.
And it's because they keep doing things like this. They keep thinking that they're smarter than all their fans.
Yeah.
And that's great to have a writer who is genuinely smarter than all their fans. You have to know the material to be smarter than all the fans. And Marvel seems to have gotten to a point now where they say, we're only going to take from material that's been published since the MCU was in traction.
Yeah.
And nothing else. So if it was from before 2008, we're not going to acknowledge it. And only stuff after 2008 is going to be acknowledged.
And the only way they'll acknowledge it is if they can hijack a storyline, but then change it.
But then fully
stuff.
Change it.
Yeah.
Civil War style.
Exactly.
Of like, this isn't even the same
Planet
story.
Hulk, the whole thing, just ruining a bunch of great
we're gonna take this core story that everybody knows, and we're going to so fully and completely change it that it's not really even the same story. It's like that idea of the best way to remake a movie is to just give the basic elevator pitch premise to someone and then let them write it, and not take all the other stuff to go with it, not go through like and this happens and this happens and this happens. That seems to be Marvel's approach to everything is, Hulk lands on another planet. Don't tell me anything else. I got it.
You know what I think when I hear about Hulk landing on another planet? Jeff Goldblum.
The heroes are fighting each other. The heroes are at war with each other. Don't tell me over what. I got it, guys.
Yes.
I got it. I don't need to be told. I got it.
Yes.
And that's just Marvel. That's how Marvel does stuff now.
Suck.
And you like Dormammu? Don't tell me anything about him. I already know what I'm going to do. Does it have anything to do with Dormammu as a character? No. Dormammu, in fact, can't tell time. There are 5-year-olds that are smarter than Dormammu.
Yeah.
Great. I'm so glad that all of the fanboys now have Dormammu. I would like to bargain. I've come to bargain. Oh, it's such a good line. Oh, I love that scene. No, you don't. It shows that you're an idiot. It shows that you're a fool, because that fucking sucks. If no one, I've said this to other people before, but I don't think I've ever said it on this show. Anyone here who loves Doctor Strange, who is like, oh man, Doctor Strange, he's my guy, and I love that original movie. Track down the animated Doctor Strange movie from 2006.
Awesome.
It's monumentally better. It's
fucking good.
So much better. And it tells the exact same story in a much better way. Fuck all of the other stuff that Marvel has given you for Doctor Strange, with the exception of What If. It's all been a lie.
Yeah.
Okay? It's all been a lie. This is Doctor Strange. So once you watch it, you'll be like, this other stuff sucks. This does suck.
Yeah. All right, so on to you, my friend.
Okay. Well, I want to quickly hit the things that got, before we get into the stuff that got cut.
Yes.
I'll start with Kraven, which did get cut, because I don't really want to have a long, we didn't have a huge long conversation about it last time.
It was the best of the last 3 or no, it's the best.
It's the best of any of the Sony non-Spider-Man Spider-Man.
Yeah,
movies.
but that is the lowest of the low bars.
It's not a bar.
No.
That bar is underground. Yeah. You can walk across the ground on flat heel and you'll be above that bar.
It's the bodies laying 6 feet deep. It's laying on top of all the bodies.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not bad. It's not good.
No,
it's not a good movie. A few quick hitters that I wanted to get out of the way. One, this is the smallest rhino anybody has ever seen.
And the worst CGI.
Just terrible.
Jumanji.
Looks
it's
awful.
So
looks absolutely trash.
So
bad. Tiny baby rhino. So small. I could not get over how small he was. I was like, he has this thing that makes him, that is supposed to.
Do you remember the skin condition from
Grayscale?
Game of Thrones? The grayscale.
Yeah.
He had grayscale.
He had grayscale.
That's all he had.
But he didn't get any bigger or more muscular. Yeah. He was like, oh, this makes me stronger. Does it? It seems to just make you invulnerable.
Yeah.
But that's it. And that's like one of the rhino's things.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to the rhino than that. And the rhino is an outrageously shallow character.
Yeah.
So that's not great that you got that wrong. I love the name drop of Miles Warren. I thought that was one of the best, smartest things that Sony had done the entire time, was to bring up Miles Warren as the catalyst for all of these superhumans coming to light. If you had stuck with that or started there, that could have been great, but you got there way too late. The stuff with Chameleon was interesting, but also dumb, because this
like
is
the short
the worst fucking chameleon I've ever seen. First off, the chameleon is an expert assassin.
Yeah.
Expert assassin, okay? From the time we meet him all the way through. So, I don't know, maybe he was
a whiny kid before.
A whiny kid fresh out of high school at some point, but that's not the chameleon I want to hang out with.
Yes.
So this is garbage. Then when you do show us the good chameleon face, we're like, oh, cool. And then he turns around and he's like 5'0". And Kraven walks up to him and we're like, so this is the chameleon who can appear to be anyone? And he can't change his height. He can't do any.
That was the
He can only appear to be anybody who's the exact same height and build as him. So good luck, pretending to be a woman or pretending to be Kraven the Hunter or pretending to be Spider-Man because you don't have the same build as any of those people.
I wish he pretended to be Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
But then the other thing that I forgot to mention in our show, I love that this chameleon is so good at impersonation that he has to hide his mouth when he's doing impersonations.
Yeah.
He crams his chin into his chest every single time he's doing an impersonation.
That was kind of weird.
Terrible filmmaking to the point where like they are clearly hiding his lips because they don't think the ADR looks good.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's bad filmmaking. Don't do that. Then get a better actor or a better director or something, but it can't be this. I like the concept that they have he's just perfectly imitating Tony Bennett. It's like, okay, this is interesting, but again, this is the lamest version of chameleon I've ever seen. This kid is a baby.
You mean you didn't like karaoke chameleon?
Oh my God, it's just so dumb.
That made me cringe when they're like, that's how he's using his
That's
abilities.
how he's using his powers, and then it turns out he's a bad guy at the end of the movie, apropos of literally nothing.
Yeah.
He just becomes a bad guy. All the action sequences are so entirely forgettable.
Yep.
They're not bad, but they're entirely forgettable. They get the superpowers. They have a really good power set, and then they do nothing with it. Yeah. And when they do have him use his powers, it makes no sense. So him climbing the building to find Dimitri is ridiculous. That we said this last week. When Jackie Chan can climb a building better than you can without superpowers, that's bad.
That's
bad. That's really bad. This should be a triangle jump up the building. He should be jumping 3 stories at a leap.
Yeah.
That's bad. What you've done is bad. The stuff with Calypso, I want to like. But again, even though you have Ariana DeBose, don't have her name be Calypso. Have Calypso be the character name. I've seen this character be named Mariah Crawford, and she's a biologist. That would be so much better than this weird lawyer who is from this very not important family, but it turns out maybe they had some weird thing going on.
Yeah, and then she's like really good with weapons, and you're like, what?
I was like, what is going on?
I didn't get it.
What is happening here? I fully don't understand any of this. It just doesn't make sense to me.
It was just bad.
So a lot of that I just didn't get. It wasn't so bad that I was like screaming at the TV, but it was like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah,
the whole time.
It's not Madam Web bad, but it's
not Madam Web bad.
You
don't. Madam Web established a new tenor of bad when they had Uncle Ben and Mary Parker in the story.
Yes.
And then they had a fireworks factory somewhere on the East River that keeps on going up in flames in 2002, and no one is guarding it, and the police don't care that it's there. This was your plot that you came up with.
So dumb.
That's fucking dumb.
That's
so fucking dumb. So the last thing I'll say is that Kraven did have something that I think is very funny that it now has over the MCU, which is that they brought in a E-list character. He's not even a D-list character. The Foreigner.
Oh, yeah.
A character so unremarkable that I had to look him up. I've been reading so much Spider-Man comics my entire life. I had to look up who the Foreigner was. I was like, I don't fucking know who this guy is. Ironically, an excellent portrayal of the character. An absolutely top to bottom excellent portrayal of the character in this otherwise very mid-level movie about nothing in particular.
We just got to get these companies to not give a shit about any of the characters, and maybe they'll write them the way they are.
Or have a character so boring that they're like, well, he doesn't need to be that interesting in the first place. We can just pick him up from where he was in the comics, and like they get his power set right. They get the whole thing right. It was remarkable.
It's amazing.
And we're going to get back to this when we talk about Muse in a little bit, because it is the most ironic, hilarious thing that Sony in this trash pile of a universe with this not even B-, this is like a C- movie. This is like, I forgot what scenes were in the movie while I was watching it. It's so forgettable. This is not a good movie. It's just not a terrifically bad movie.
Yeah.
And even in this not terrifically bad movie, they have a step up on the actual MCU, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. So Kraven the Hunter, not bad, definitely not good. You don't need to watch it. I think my big takeaway is ultra forgettable. You don't need to watch it.
Yes.
I did finish the Kilmerathon. I set out with a song in my heart, and I did it. And I watched all of them. And I threw Real Geniuses on the top, too, just to get that done.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's such a funny movie. So good. I will say, there was one moment that gave me such entire pause in Real Genius. I really like that movie. It's really fun. And all the scenes that I remember being great are as great as I remember them being. The scene where the woman that sleeps with geniuses shows up at Mitch's room.
Yes.
And tells him she's been waiting 3 years to have sex with him. Mitch is 15 in this moment. So you wanted to have sex with a 12-year-old? Hang on. No, we're not moving forward with the movie. Yeah, you need to stop and tell me what is going on. Because this is not okay. Someone did not do the math when they were writing that line. And this is, I get it. The 80s was a different time, man. But like, whoa. I don't think 30-year-old women could have sex with 12-year-olds and nobody noticed. Okay.
Well, then she gets filled by Hollyfeld. So
yeah, it's true. But it was just like, it was a moment of like, what the fuck? Wait, what did you just say? So wait, first off, there's a woman waiting in your room to have sex with you. You're a 15-year-old boy. And then she tells you that she was already waiting 3 years and just can't wait anymore? Okay, someone call the police. This is untenable. Get it out of here. This is so bad. This is so toxic and bad.
Yeah.
So like, beyond that, it was hilarious. And I like that movie a lot.
Great movie.
That moment just like shook me to my core. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Anytime you know it's an 80s movie when you have a villain turned by William Atherton. It's like,
yes.
Oh, God, that
and
man.
He's great.
He's so great.
Him and his stupid buddy Chaz or whatever, Chad. When they put the radio in Chad's fillings, it's good stuff.
Oh, it's not Chad. Why can't I think of his name right now?
I'll keep going. So I watched that. Me and Kelly watched Tombstone.
Nice.
Which I liked a lot. Or Mustaches Are Us.
Was that the first time you watched Tombstone?
That was the first time I'd seen Tombstone. And if you have a thing for mustaches, I have a movie for you. Because everyone and their cousin has a very particular mustache in this movie, and you will love all of them. No, I like Tombstone a lot. Kent.
This is God, Kent.
Yes.
And quit touching yourself. You are God.
You are God. Jesus.
But yeah, Tombstone's great, and I don't know if you know about the making of that movie, but it was one of those movies that the director that started the movie got fired and a new director had to come in. And the new director, all he did was kiss the ass of all like the best actors in the thing, and it was kind of this tumultuous, and somehow that movie came out well.
Yeah. It still came out good, because that is, when I hear that, I think of Solo.
Yes.
We have Lord and Miller, and the producers hate everything that's happening, so they fire Lord and Miller and they bring in Ron Howard, and Ron Howard just kisses ass to anybody on set and makes the most plain Jane movie you've ever seen.
Oh, God. I
will never forgive what he did to that droid. Yep. That was actually crime. And it on top of everything else that was ruined in that movie.
You mean the Falcon, right?
That.
Did you want to see the Kessel Run actually happen?
Oh, Lord. Oh, God in heaven, help me.
But
Tombstone is great.
It's a great movie.
And Kurt Russell's great. And
he's so good.
Val Kilmer is a great side character, but Kurt Russell's like the diamond.
Bill
Paxton. You have Sam Elliott.
Michael Biehn.
Michael Biehn playing a great villain.
Oh, Johnny Ringo.
A fucking great villain.
Dude, that's the infamous line. I'll be your Huckleberry. Yeah. It's like that face-off between the two of them. Oh,
there was that one moment where, spoilers, Earp leaves Doc Holliday, and Doc Holliday is sick and dying. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I got to go finish this thing with Johnny Ringo. And we cut to Johnny Ringo in a field. And he's like, I didn't think you were going to show up. And then Doc Holliday walks out of the trees. And I'm like, how? Because not only did Wyatt Earp leave you behind, he was on a horse and rode away from you. Yeah. And then Charlton Heston was supposed to be watching you.
Yeah.
So old dead hands over here apparently just skip town and let you leave. Yeah, I guess.
Well, now, did you also catch the very young one of the first film appearances of Billy Bob Thornton?
I did.
As the poker dealer?
As the poker guy. Yes.
He didn't look like him.
Well, he didn't perform like him.
No.
When Kurt Russell comes up and starts slapping him around, I've never seen Billy Bob Thornton just take it from someone. Just absolutely take it.
Dude, such a great...
Even in Armageddon when he's running, fucking NASA, he doesn't just take it from people.
No.
He always has something else to say, but he just takes it from Kurt Russell and
I love that portrayal.
Walks out of town. But no, there were a few people like that. Fucking Scott Lang is in that movie as the coward, who so many really interesting characters. Really, really dynamic, interesting characters.
And I'll be honest, the best thing that happened to that movie is it came out the same time that Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp came out.
Yeah.
And that movie was it was very well done, but it was so boring that Tombstone was like a flash of life.
Yeah. And I will say there was definitely like a lot of I don't want to say confusion, but there were just moments that seemed to happen off screen that had a huge impact. Michael Rooker's come to God moment. Yeah. Which happens fully off screen, and he's just like, I can't follow them down this road. And I'm like, follow them down what road? When they were shooting at people's houses? That was the line?
That's what makes me wonder about any cuts and different filming and all that, if that affected some of the continuity.
I get it, attacking a man in his home. I get why some people would be turned off by that, but this guy doesn't seem like one of those people where it's like, this is the line. I saw you murder a husband in front of his bride and then shoot a priest. I was fine with that. Killing people in their homes? No, can't do that.
And Michael Rooker has never been that guy in any of his movies.
No, exactly. So it's already against type.
Yeah, exactly.
Them finding the two guys that got into the bar fight when they get to Tombstone. And they get recruited, and it's like this. I feel like this should have been more of a full scene because I had to remind myself who these characters were. Whereas, like, I know who Sam Elliott is. I also know why Sam Elliott can't continue in the movie the same way that I know why Bill Paxton can't continue in the movie. Yes. But, like, definitely it felt like there needed to be a little bit more connective tissue. Same with Earp's wife. Where, like, there's this whole thing where she's an opioid addict and she has serious mental health issues, and then she disappears, and then Earp ends up with this woman, and then we get, after the credits, this little thing saying, oh, yeah, his wife died, like, shortly after his revenge story began. Yeah. So he never cheated on her. She was already dead.
She was already dead.
And it's like, okay, I feel like that should have happened on screen.
Because it did make Earp look more like a dick. Where he's the hero.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he's a dick.
He's a dick. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think that this hits the way that you think it's going to hit. I like it a lot. Don't get me wrong. But definitely, like, I would put it at, like, a B.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A B movie. It's not amazing.
I've never been one of those people. Like, some people are like, it's the greatest Western ever. It's like, no.
I've seen better Westerns than this. I would say the Christian Bale 3:10 to Yuma is better than this.
That I would give you that. Also, a very quick shout out to one that I've watched recently that is, to me, the most underrated Western ever, which is Open Range. Kevin Costner and Robert Duvall. Spectacular movie. It's so good.
See, that's how I feel about Silverado. Silverado is my favorite Western. No. Magnificent Seven is my favorite Western.
Well, yes, that is.
But Silverado, barring Magnificent, which I rewatched, Magnificent Seven is so fucking good. I love that movie. It's so fucking good. But Silverado is one of those movies that I don't hear anybody talk about, and I'm like, people gotta watch Silverado because it's fucking great. Yeah. It's like you could make a great Red Dead Redemption video game off of the plot of Silverado.
And the cast is fucking ridiculous.
It's incredible.
It's unbelievable.
It's incredible. When I'm blanking on his name. John Cleese. When John Cleese shows up as this mayor who's just trying to keep order in this town, and he rides them to the edge of their jurisdiction. He's like, nope, that's the end of our jurisdiction. I'm going back home. Yeah. It's like, this is great. Yeah, this is what I love about this movie. It's so good. Kevin Costner also in that movie, one of the best roles I've ever seen.
I think that's one of his earliest ones.
It's very early on. He actually
definitely
plays
the one that propelled him.
He plays like a child practically.
He's kind of like the Chris Pratt character in the remake of Magnificent Seven, where he's kind of...
But he's even younger. Like, he is shown as the kid brother to Scott Glenn's character, and he is just like wild two guns, always shouting and jumping and having a good time. And he's clearly younger than all of the other guys here. He's probably still only like 21.
Because him and Kevin Kline, I think, are close in age, but in the movie they seem like they're
in the movie they're 20 years so different. Yeah. So, I mean, Kevin Kline, we get to see his bare ass and those red long johns.
Well, I mean, come on.
Who can resist that?
Yeah, no.
Anyway, not a movie I've watched this week, just a movie that I love. We watched Top Secret. That was weird.
I love that.
That was weird with like three beards. Some of it I love.
Is that your first time watching it?
Yeah. The whole thing. I've seen clips. I've never seen the whole thing all the way through. So, like, I'd seen the underwater fight clip at the end of the movie, but I had not seen, like,
Did you see the scene where they're talking Swedish, but it was just filmed in reverse?
Yes, that was incredible.
Wasn't that amazing?
That's incredible. And that has Cushing in it with this weird prosthetic, and it's incredible. That stuff's good. But there were a lot of moments that me and Kelly just looked at each other like, the skeet shooting.
Oh,
the surf skeet, whatever it is, skeet surfing.
Skeet surfing.
When that happened, we were just like, It's going to be that kind of movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
like, I got it when the Nazi came up and took off his helmet, but his straps were glued to his face. Like, okay, I get that. That's great, non sequitur comedy. But then Skeet Surfing shows up, and I'm like, oh, this is like a whole new thing.
She goes, I know a little German, and she points, and the little guy stands up and waves to her. Well, it's the guys that did Airplane. So I think
it has a lot of that humor.
This is the movie they did right after Airplane, because I think this was before Airplane 2.
Is this also Naked Gun? Because it has big Naked Gun.
Same
feeling.
guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, and then why can't it? Omar Sharif, where he gets he kills himself with the. He wasn't the one that uses the fist thing on him.
No,
that was the dude's.
Yeah, he gets
agent.
put in a crusher.
Yes,
and then he shows up at a hotel room, and a busty woman leans over him, and various oops and ooh-ahs go off.
Yeah.
But no, again, when I saw Omar Sharif, I was like, that's not Omar Sharif. That's not Omar Sharif fighting a Nazi on top of this train. Yeah, it is. It is Omar Sharif. The singing got a little old at times, I won't lie. It felt like there were maybe
It was Val Kilmer
too many.
singing,
That's what I was impressed by.
Very
was that he did all the songs.
Yeah.
I do think that there were probably too many songs.
Yeah.
I think you can cut 2 of those songs.
Like even the dance number he did in the cafe where he's on the rugs.
Yeah.
Like, that was an impressive dance. The choreography was impressive.
All of them are really good. It just felt like they slowed down the plot unnecessarily. It felt like they had a moment where they were like, we don't have enough plot to fill out this scene. We're going to have there be a turncoat, and then Val Kilmer is going to do a song to prove that he's not the turncoat. And none of this will have been brought up at any point beforehand. We just wrote it today. And so it had a lot of that feeling of like, oh, that guy's the big bad? The guy that we didn't meet until halfway through the movie when we found out that our heroine was on a deserted island for several years and had sex with this one guy over and over again, and then he disappeared, and now he's back. And he's the villain, and he's also going to get another bull.
And I do love how they made that like the Blue Lagoon. Their origin story was that I thought was funny.
No, see, this is the thing. It's all funny. It's just so weird.
It's a weird
It's just
movie.
Like, especially if you don't know what the references are to, you're just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Where did this come from? Why is this a thing?
Saying goodbye to everybody and the Tin Man's there.
I love that. Scarecrow, I'll miss you most of all. But, like, again, the ending of that movie was just so, like, wait, what's happening?
Oh, it was fucking batshit crazy.
So the revolutionaries have won the day and everybody wants to hang around, but they're not going to. They're going to get on the plane and leave? And that's just the end of the movie. That's just how the movie ends. Okay. All right.
That's fucking insanity.
Okay. Also, just the fact that it's never acknowledged that East Germany is run by the Nazis.
Yeah.
It's just never acknowledged that that's part of the plot. And everybody is like, oh, of course, East Germany, run by the Nazis. I missed that part of the history book. I don't remember that happening. So fascinating movie.
Oh, it's so
weird
fascinating.
Weird with like 5 beards.
Oh yeah.
And like beards in places where beards don't usually go. And you're like, okay, I didn't expect that. That's weird. I watched The Ghost in the Darkness. That was the last one that I watched. And I like this movie a lot.
It's so fucking good, isn't it?
My one complaint with the movie is that Michael Douglas, they make such a big deal out of him, and then he just disappears.
Yeah.
He's killed off screen. And I'm like, no, you can't do that.
That did bother me as well.
You can't kill this character off screen.
One of the leads.
We never even see his body. He's just gone. Yeah. And we're told he's dead. And that's it. And we're like, excuse me, what? You want to run that by me again? But I really liked all the interactions. I really liked Bernard Hill as the doctor, who's just trying to hold everything together, and the one guy who's like, God will provide, and everybody's like, shut the fuck up, man. Shut the fuck up. I did like that movie a lot, but that was my one complaint, was like, Michael Douglas can't just disappear.
It's a very underrated movie.
Yeah.
Like, people don't ever really mention that movie.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a shame. It's, it's not... That's also like a BB plus. It's not.
I would also put that at like a B
it's,
movie.
Yeah,
it's not shockingly good. It's not like you got to run out and watch it. But if you get the opportunity, you can see less or worse movies.
Oh, absolutely.
So
it's definitely enjoyable.
I like it just fine. I would say just fine. This one is just fine. I would watch this again in 5 years without having too much memory of everything in the movie.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Oh wait. I was going to talk about Inside Man because I watched Inside Man.
Oh,
wait, and I'll talk about that later. Because that was also a fascinating movie.
Is that your first time seeing Inside Man?
No, I'd seen it like 12 years ago. And more than that, like 17 years ago now.
So fucking good.
And that movie is really good.
That's
a really good movie. So we'll talk about that next time. I just bring it up because that was the same bank that Matt got stuck in Daredevil episode 5. It's the exact same bank.
Oh, they must get a lot of money from that shit.
I know.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, now we got to talk about the last 3 episodes of Daredevil. Which episode 7 we're going to talk about again. We're gonna because we talked about it last episode, but it got cut.
It's some monster. The bigwigs at Marvel were like, they have real, actual critiques for it. Get it out of the show.
Yeah,
eat it. Get rid of it.
So we'll give talk about these last 3 episodes and kind of give our rundown of. Which I didn't realize that this was supposed to be a 16-episode season or 18-episode season, and they just cut it in half.
They've been saying this. They've been saying that it was going to be... Remember when they announced it, they said it was going to be 3 seasons. Each one was going to be 18 episodes long.
Yeah.
That's... No. It's a 9-episode season.
And so the ending was so...
rushed.
We'll talk about the ending.
It made no sense.
Made absolutely no sense. All right, so we're going to talk about the last 3 episodes of Daredevil.
Let's start with the one that got eaten.
Yeah, so episode 7 is the very brief and
disappointing,
crappy ending to the very brief Muse storyline.
The Muse storyline, which felt like it was going to be a big deal. And we were sitting here being like, this is going to be a big deal. It's a nothing. It's
kind of like the White Walkers.
Well, so
Here it comes. That's done.
There it goes. So this is where... that whole conversation I was having about the Foreigner comes all the way back around, because it turns out I did some research after watching this episode because I was not satisfied with what happened in this episode. For anybody who doesn't know, the episode is basically a guy shows up at Matt's girlfriend's office.
Yes, one of her patients.
As a patient. And we're all like, oh, so this is Muse? Because they've set it up within the writing of the show that this is clearly Muse.
Yes.
The scene before it, everybody's like, who's Muse? Who's Muse? He could be anyone. Who's Muse? And then this guy shows up and we're like, oh, he's Muse.
He's Muse.
They take all of the... I don't even know what the best way to put it. The uncertainty of Muse. His motivation. Who he is. Where he comes from. Why he does the things that he does. Which were the entire character.
Yeah.
Literally the entire character. Because he hadn't spoken at all until this episode. And then they're like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Because now the Ayala girl is like, oh, he said this. He didn't say a goddamn thing.
And this is the part that drove us nuts. She was completely fucking unconscious the whole time, but she's having memories of him saying things he didn't say, what the lair looked like, even though she was obviously unconscious.
Yeah. So that happens, and we're like, well, that's bullshit. He hasn't said a single goddamn word in this entire show. And the police immediately track down who he is, like within 10 minutes, because he only uses this very specific canvas that you can only find at 3 art stores in all of New York City. I'm like, this is stupid. First off, he's been painting on walls. What do you mean he has this very special canvas? Second off, this is lame. You've made this immediately lame. You know, it'd be better if he made canvases out of people's skin. I would take that.
Yeah.
But you're not even giving me that. You're giving me nothing. Now he's this hoity-toity, I got to have the best canvas in the country guy. That was never part of his character.
Yeah.
And so he goes into this office with Heather, Matt's girlfriend, and he spills his fucking guts about everything. Yeah. And Muse just can't be shut up at this point. He's talking about motivations and where he came from and how he hates his parents and how his parents gave him everything, but he didn't want what they gave him. And so he's really had a really hard life, and it's just really hard to be a Nepo baby who has been given everything and has never wanted for anything and has never had to struggle. And also somehow he became a Taekwondo expert after a month.
Yeah, which doesn't make any fucking
sense. And all of this is thrown at us, and I'm just like, this is bullshit.
It was so
you
bad.
Fully ruined this character who, up until this point, I was like, something good.
Yeah.
A buoy. Something I can hang my hat on and be like, look, this is good. This one's good. You got this one done right. No, fuck all that noise. We're going to get rid of it. The damningest thing of the whole thing is that I looked it up, and first off, Muse has power sets that would be important to fighting Daredevil, which is why he's in Daredevil's comics, which include being able to cut off people's sensory information within a certain range close to him. Mm-hmm. So that could be, I don't know, kind of important.
Daredevil.
Might be a thing. Yeah. Might be a thing. It's also, it hinted at that he might be inhuman. It might be. It might not be, because the way that he's described as an inhuman killer. Now, does that mean he is inhuman? Does that mean he is inhuman in terms of like his brutality in his murders? Or is it because he literally kills Inhumans? There's 3 things that this could be. None of that's here. No. None of it's here. Finally, the most damning thing the creator himself, when asked for more information about who Muse is, said, I think Muse is one of those characters that benefits from having less known about him. And Marvel took that and said, oh, really? Fuck it. We're going to have everything explained about this guy. Yeah. We're going to know his social security number. We're going to know not just where he lived. We're going to know every place he lived. We're going to know where he grew up. We're going to know his mom and dad's names. We're going to know the name of his Taekwondo instructor. And I'm just like, guys, you had the easiest job, which is to do nothing. You had to do nothing. And instead, you wrote this whole stupid, extremely rote backstory for this character who benefits from having less information known about him. And then you have his whole arc end with Daredevil swinging in,
yes,
fighting him, and then Heather shoots him.
Yes.
And then Heather says, I saved myself, which, like, I guess, but also he was going to kill you until Daredevil showed up.
The more I've thought about this episode, I think it would have been better as a story arc if Muse did kill her and Daredevil showed up too late.
Yeah. That would have been more interesting.
That would have been so much more interesting.
It would have been in line with Daredevil comics, because that fucking happens to Karen Page.
Yes.
D shows up too late, and Bullseye has killed Karen Page in his church at the front of the altar. Mm-hmm. That's core canon, baby. So you have stuff here.
Yeah.
And you just ignore it. And worse than ignore it, you paper over it and then paint something new. Mm-hmm. No. I'm not going to sit here and say Muse is the greatest character of all time. Muse, I didn't know jack shit about. I had to look him up. You have opportunities, man. You gotta stop doing this. And they won't. And that's evident in the next 2 episodes on top of it.
Well, and not only did they ruin the character, they did it unnecessarily, because this whole storyline, it made no sense in any part of the show.
It made sense in that I thought it was going to be one of those things where Kingpin and Matt were both vying to capture Muse first, and whoever was going to capture him first was going to be able to declare themselves the winner, which kind of happens, but not in a meaningful way.
No.
More of as a, like, Kingpin stands up and holds up Muse's mask and says, I got him. And that's like it. That's the closest we get to that kind of storyline. And I was left being like, what was the point of all this? You have this really interesting character who you've been setting up. You have this really interesting conflict between him and Matt. You have all these things that could be going on. And then you square it away so fast.
Yes.
That it's insane. And to the point where, like, I don't buy it.
No.
I don't buy what this is. I would be happy to find out that it was a fake Muse posing as Muse, and that Muse is still out there somewhere in the world because he is still, not actually known. And this was just some copycat who was taking credit for it.
That would make sense.
That would be better than this.
Yes.
But we're not given that. No. We are left to believe that this is the actual Muse, and that this was his whole plan the whole time, and that he got away from Matt long enough to attack the person who just happens to be Matt Murdock's girlfriend?
Yeah.
This sucks, man.
This is really bad writing.
This sucks. This writing is heinous. It's heinously bad. What are we doing? The whole thing where, I don't know if this was in episode 7 or not, but the whole thing where she's talking about how, like, she wants to interview vigilantes.
That was 7.
And she is talking about, like, can you introduce me to Frank Castle? And I'm like, first off, Frank Castle is not somebody you want to talk to.
No.
Second, he's not going to put up with your shit.
No.
Not for a goddamn second. He might shoot you. Third, D, this is the moment to tell her who you are.
Yes.
You have carte blanche.
I'm so tired of that trope where it's like, I can't tell
anybody because they'll be
me.
You had this with Foggy and Karen. We've done this twice already. Don't do it a third time. Just tell your girlfriend who you are because she asked you if you can get her an interview with Daredevil. So just reveal your identity, dude. It's like, this is stupid. This is bad writing.
And it really sticks out in the last couple episodes where he's trying to get her to understand why he knows how bad Kingpin is. And it's like, maybe if she knew you were fucking Daredevil, she would take you more seriously with your warnings about who this fucking guy is.
But even that is ridiculous because, like, it falls into the same cycle as all the other Kingpin bullshit.
Yeah.
Of, like,
everyone should know who he is.
Everybody should know what it is. And they tried to explain away the FBI thing in episode 8. And I was not buying that for a goddamn second.
So fucking stupid.
That was the dumbest bullshit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
that the Kingpin somehow, even after being caught red-handed...
So let's go on to 8. Now we'll move on to 8 now.
In episode 8, they intimate that the Kingpin, after being caught red-handed, having basically bought the entire FBI...
Yeah.
That case apparently got thrown out because of Agent Poindexter.
Yeah.
The whole case.
Yeah.
The entire case got thrown out because of Agent Poindexter. That's insane.
That's so fucking stupid.
Do you not remember the moment where the co-head of the FBI gave herself up, was arrested, and fully complied in showing that Kingpin had bought her and showed them where the bodies she had killed for Kingpin were?
Yeah.
Do you remember when that happened at the end of season 3? Because it did. So this whole bullshit argument where it's like, oh, Poindexter was a part of it, and so we couldn't prosecute because of X, Y, Z. No, this is bullshit. This is bull
bad writing?
shit. This is bad writing.
Very bad writing.
This is terrible writing. And I'm just so frustrated by this because it's unforced errors every time.
Yes.
Every time. Charlie Cox is amazing in this show.
Yes.
Every scene he's in, he's amazing. Every single time he has to do anything, he's amazing. Whether that's the physical work or the acting work. It's all amazing.
Yeah.
Everything else around him is such a flaming pile of trash at times.
And the frustrating thing with me about episode 8 was the main conflicts between the main characters in this episode were mainly between him and his girlfriend and him and his partner because he will not tell them that he's Daredevil.
Yeah.
And that created the conflicts. And it's like, dude, like you said, how many times do you have to go through this before you just tell the people directly in your life?
Well, and then like you get stupid things that don't make sense. Like his partner at the law firm is angry that he took a meeting with Bullseye.
Yeah, which...
Why? Why would she be mad about that? She doesn't have this deep emotional connection to Matt.
No.
She's not sitting here being like, that's the guy that killed Foggy, don't you remember? Like, I don't get this. I don't understand this. And also, she's sitting on information about Foggy this whole time.
Yeah.
This whole time!
Yeah.
And which tracks back to why Vanessa Fisk had Bullseye hired to kill Foggy. All of this is really important, and Kristen's just been sitting on it the whole time.
She seemed to know the distinction of the scotch he drinks when it's a celebratory thing.
Yes.
So, once again, just like you're saying, she knew all this shit.
She knew
She's like,
something was up the whole time.
Now I need to insert this to the story so the story can move along.
And we're not even going to unpack the Marcy of it all. Foggy had a girlfriend whose name was Marcy, who was a high-power lawyer.
Yep.
She's not Matt's partner in all this.
No.
It's the woman who wasn't part of the firm who was talking to Foggy the night he got killed. She's the partner in all this.
Yeah.
And Marcy doesn't exist anymore. What's going on?
And that's the part that drives me nuts, is it seems like they wanted to pick and choose who exists and who doesn't from the original series. And this goes into the final episode, which we'll talk about that in a second. But it's frustrating to me because you do have this pull towards these episodes when you're a fan of the older ones where you're like, I can see they're trying.
I can see the strings.
But then they fuck it up.
Then it's wrong.
Yes.
It's wrong. You're following down the tapestry and you're like, this is the right color and it looks right, but the stitching is all wrong, man. And it just doesn't work as a result. I can't get past it. I can't not notice that this is wrong.
Yeah.
That this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. So you have Bullseye being attacked in the prison. Not for a fucking moment is Bullseye in any danger in a prison.
No.
Not for a fucking moment. The idea that he's in Gen Pop and that's a problem is laughable.
Yeah.
That's a problem for Gen Pop. That's a Rorschach problem. You're not
Exactly.
locked in here. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
And
okay?
it's like, but that's another thing that they didn't go. They show him getting put in Gen Pop with all the prisoners out, staring at him,
which is not a thing.
And they don't say anything about it. They don't say he beat them up. There's nothing.
He comes back and he's a little roughed up.
Just
like,
a tiny
barely
But like you
perceivably.
said, there would be a lot of dead prisoners.
They would call Matt because they would be like, okay, so he killed a ton of people.
Yes.
And we don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
So what do we do with him? We need a lawyer to come in and tell us what to do with him now.
Yeah.
Like, this was garbage. This was malarkey. The whole thing where... Oh, this pissed me right off. At the end of the episode, there's this whole thing where Matt is realizing he has broken into this black tie gala with his girlfriend. And he's realizing, he's putting together the pieces that Vanessa is the one, not Wilson, who hired Bullseye to kill Foggy. And he is trying to get to Vanessa, and he's not being casual about it at all. Meanwhile... they have Bullseye, who has this new blue motif that wasn't a thing in season
Yeah.
3, which is fine. I don't mind a motif, but you got to back it up, and this came out of nowhere, so I'm not going to give it to you. And also, give him a fucking logo and a costume. How hard is that? He has a very simple logo. You know how simple it is? His fucking T-ball team had his logo. Okay? Right. That's how fucking easy this is.
Yes.
So Matt is trying to get near Vanessa, and he hears something in the rafters, and it's Bullseye. And I say, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? Because Bullseye grabs a fire poker, never uses it for anything, walks through an entire room.
No, you see, he killed the guard they took the gun from.
Oh, okay.
It's sticking in the guy's throat when they do the zoom back.
But when he gets up to the rafters, he has a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And he's in the rafters with a sniper rifle. This is Bullseye?
Everyone should be dead.
This is Bullseye.
Yes.
And he's in the building with a sniper rifle? No. Bullseye is in Brooklyn, across the river.
Yes.
Okay? That's where he's making that shot from. That's why he's fucking Bullseye.
Yes.
I told Kelly, in the comics, Hawkeye, at one point, shoots an arrow, holding Ant-Man on the end of it, across the entire city, okay, to get him to a location faster. That's the kind of thing we're talking about here.
Yes.
You can't have Bullseye be in the room. That unexcusable.
Yeah.
Unexcusable. You have him in the room and he misses?
And he misses. That's the part that kills me.
Are you insane? What is wrong with you? So Matt jumps in the way of the bullet and he takes the shot for Kingpin for reasons that are literally never brought up.
Like, even though Matt's doesn't have awesome healing ability or anything, he somehow...
He, like, just kind of toughs it out.
Yeah, he can still
But he can't fight a ton of people. He can only fight some people. Yeah. And so... in episode 9, Matt is just bleeding all the time until he gets out of bed and he goes out and puts on the costume and Frank meets him and they start knocking heads. They did do the one thing I wasn't sure Disney would do, which was that they had Frank kill dirty cops. So I was like, okay, all right, that's fine. I like the scene where Matt is trying to keep him from killing the one dirty cop that's at the lead of the whole thing. And Frank's like, first Fisk and now this guy. And then someone throws a grenade. Who?
Yeah.
No one knows. Matt just says, grenade. He grabs Frank, jumps out a window. There's an explosion. And then there's a second explosion.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, I guess all those guys are dead. But for what reason?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Then they land on a car and they're walking down the middle of the street. There's no one out there.
And Karen just pulls up and is like, get in the car. And I'm like, what is fucking happening? What the fuck is happening?
I'm glad you brought that up because I remember thinking, where the fuck did the grenade
Where did that come from?
Oh my god.
There should have been a guy with a rocket launcher on another rooftop or something. That I would have taken. This is nothing. This is just like, did a pin fall out of one of the guys' grenades on their belt?
Let's backtrack just a little bit in episode 9. So the Kingpin is fully taking over as the Kingpin, and he's creating martial law. He gets the power turned off. Mm-hmm. So all of this is happening. So his second in command goes to kill Matt in the hospital. Matt gets out before that can happen and gets back to his apartment, and that's where Frank is. And then that's where all this violence happens. This whole time, I looked at my wife, and I was like, this takes place in the MCU. Mm-hmm. This takes place in Spider-Man's universe.
Mm-hmm. In his backyard.
In his backyard. Where's Spider-Man?
Where the fuck is
Where
Webs?
is Jessica Jones?
Luke Cage.
Where's Luke Cage?
Danny Rand. Colleen Wing. Misty Knight.
Even if you want to keep it in the MCU, where's what's-her-face?
Hawkeye.
Kate Bishop.
Yeah, Kate Bishop Hawkeye.
Where's Kate Bishop? Where are all these fucking people?
You keep telling me that you are so lousy with superheroes that it's an actual problem.
Yes!
Where are they? And then they do the one thing that made me drop another whole letter grade. Twice in the show, they have dropped an entire letter grade. Because in the midst of all of this happening, the commissioner meets with Kingpin and he says, I'm not going to let you do this. And then he meets with Kingpin's head of chief of staff. And she says, I don't know what to do. And she flips on him. And so he goes down, he gets in a car. And he says, Luke, is that you? And a black guy turns to him and says, hey, chief. And he says, Luke, do you have new ink? And he has a little skull on his neck. And I'm sitting there like, this can't be Luke Cage. This can't be Luke Cage. This can't be Luke Cage.
That can't be.
But in my mind, I'm like, who else can it be? A former cop who hasn't seen the chief in a long time, who's black?
That can't be Luke Cage.
It's not. That's my point. It's not. It's revealed not to be.
Yes.
It's revealed he's just a guy named Luke. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yes.
Lucas would have been okay. All right? Luke? There's already a guy named Luke who was a cop?
And the thing that pissed me off about that scene, you're the chief of police. You have a gun on you.
Yeah.
You know you're going to die.
Yeah.
This guy is taking you to fucking shoot him and get out of the car.
What are you doing?
I did. Like, it was so infuriating with that shit.
I was so mad at that scene because of everything about it.
Yeah.
Everything about it. Don't name this character Luke. If he is named Luke, don't have him be black.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't have him be a bald black guy. Because when he got out of the car, I was like, that can't be Luke Cage. He's tiny. Yeah. He's nothing. He is so small. On top of the fact that Luke can't get tattoos. Yes. Because his skin is indestructible. Okay? Luke can't get his booster shots, let alone get a tattoo. Okay? So the entire time I was like, either this is massively wrong or it's massively wrong. Yeah. Pick whichever way you want to go. But naming a black character Luke, who is a cop that the chief hasn't seen in a long time, are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
Because anybody like me will be like, is that Luke Cage? No. Because of course it's not. Because even though Daredevil says we have to build an army, when he shows up to face his troops, it's like a bunch of cops and no one else. And a bartender. And a bartender. And I'm like, Luke, Jess.
Yes.
Pete, Danny, Colleen, Misty, Kate. I can go on.
Spider-Man. And then here's the other thing. This is kind of like the Eternals thing. Where were they with Thanos? Where's Captain America? Where are all of the
Where's Sam Wilson?
Where's Sam Wilson?
Sam Wilson, during that whole event at the end of Falcon Winter Soldier, shows up.
Yes.
He shows up in New York City.
And we've shown that the Thunderbolts headquarters, and it's like, dude, what is going on in this world?
What the actual fuck are you talking about?
That's what's frustrating me about this. And like, I wanted to like this final episode because we did see Kingpin getting Kingpin-y, and we did see like a lot of the stuff we wanted. But then they just fucking did that stupid shit. You can't, at this stage of the MCU, you cannot have something this major with a villain this well known happening without every fucking superhero showing up to fix things.
You can have this fixed so easily because you just need to make the Del Toro Ayala girl older. If you made her 19 so she can take up the mantle, then she can be wearing a costume in the bar at the end, and we all lose our fucking minds. Oh, he has White Tiger on his team. And then you bring in Mike Coulter for one day of shooting.
Yeah.
Oh, he has Luke Cage on his team.
Kristen Ritter is gnawing at the bit to be Jessica Jones again.
I'm just like, what are you doing?
Dude.
What are you doing?
This is what's pissing me off about this show. I want to like it, but this shit, once again, every fucking hero in the Marvel Universe knows who Kingpin is.
Yes.
Knows what he's capable of.
Has had run-ins with him.
Yes. Serious run-ins. And here he is taking over New York, and there is got to be press about his task force killing people and doing all this shit. And then there's a massive power outage, and not one fucking superhero is going to answer the call.
Well, and then we see the reason why apparently no superheroes are answering the call is because Kingpin has them all in cages up in his little loft. But those aren't superheroes because no one would be held by that. Not a single one of them would be held by that.
And they're doing the Austin Powers cliche of, why are you keeping the Punisher alive?
He's going to break out.
Put a bullet in his head.
There's no way Kingpin leaves Frank on the table.
Yes.
He's tried to buy Frank before. It hasn't worked.
It didn't work out
At this point,
well.
He's just going to kill him.
Scott Evil knew the answer to this equation 20 plus years ago. Pull a bullet. When I saw him sitting in the cage, I'm like, what are you doing?
Why has it
sees the actual scene right before where he gets confronted and he calls all of his acolytes. He says, "You are dog shit. I have nothing. I will do nothing but want to kill you." And they're like, "Okay, let's keep him alive."
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
What's wrong with you? What is actually wrong with you?
The
fact that Echo is in this universe.
Yeah.
And hates Kingpin.
Yeah.
And has a history with Matt in the comics, and she's nowhere. She's off in Wyoming.
Not only in the comics, there's a fight scene in the beginning with her and Daredevil in the beginning of her show.
So she's had run-ins with the Hornhead. What are we doing? What are we actually doing?
Can't.
There's no through line. Did Matt give up being Daredevil because of Foggy, or did he not? Because at the end of season 3, he did, and at the beginning of the show, it looked like he had. But then Daredevil shows up in other things.
Yeah.
But not in No Way Home, but he does show up in Echo. So when was that? When did that happen?
Yeah.
Was that during the snap? Was that post-snap? Was that pre-snap? You have to give me Literally anything.
Yeah.
You can't just do this where you have flashy scene and good acting and bad writing throughout.
Yeah.
You just can't do this.
And the frustrating thing about this show is if you would have never done Kingpin and Hawkeye, never done Echo, never had Daredevil and Spider-Man No Way Home, never had any of that happen, and then explain why he was away from Vanessa for he was arrested at the end and he somehow got out of jail and on the even if you did the technicality then, but if this is a standalone thing away from the MCU, it would have saved a lot of these questions I
can fix this for you. I can fix this so easily. This is, again, the problem with the MCU. It's not even that the problems are bad. It's just that you don't want to fix them.
No.
Kingpin, after buying the FBI, is thrown in a maximum security prison. Not Rikers, like last time, because that didn't work. Now, if only we had like a underwater super security prison that's like impossible to get anybody out of unless you're Captain America, where you can throw somebody in and forget where you threw them. Clearly that didn't happen. But you could have done that. You could have put him on the raft. And then what happens on the raft? Well, S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't exactly the most cautious group of people. So either A, people get bought by the Kingpin, which is a thing that happens, or B, they misuse the Kingpin in some way. And he gets his freedom that way, either by creating an exploitative situation where he says, look at what S.H.I.E.L.D. has done to me, look at the improper way that they're treating me, you have to get me out of here, and now he's put in another situation that he can get more easily out of. Or they think that they can control the Kingpin. And they let him loose. And then he runs out of their control. Because of course he does. Because he's the fucking Kingpin. Any of these three options would be fine. You chose none of them.
Yes.
You chose none of them. And you ruined Vanessa's character as a result.
Oh, dude.
Her character makes no fucking sense in the entire run of the show. It makes no fucking sense. Even when she comes back to Wilson at the end of the show, it makes no fucking sense. The moment where she shoots Adam is the only moment that makes sense.
Yes.
For her character arc. The entire rest of her arc in the series makes no fucking
But
sense.
The Adam thing doesn't make sense because she never would have cheated on the Kingpin.
Exactly. She doesn't need to be told that he is still the Kingpin because she would know that he was always the Kingpin.
Yeah.
I hate this. This fucking sucks, man.
Yeah,
I gotta give you.
so painful.
I have to give you a C- because even after all of the A+ work that Charlie Cox puts in, and some of the good elements of the show, and episodes that even we disagree on episode 5, but I really like that episode. I thought that was really interesting and a good way of doing storytelling. Letter to Mark, letter to Mark, letter to Mark, letter to Mark, and it all adds up until you get to a C-.
Yeah.
On this show that should be an A, because it does have blood and guts, and it does have real violence, and it does have good fight scenes, and the costumes are passable. They're not great, but they're passable.
Yeah.
I'll allow a pass on it. And then you just, we built this city on rock and roll.
Oh my God.
Muse has to spill all of his guts to everybody. Vanessa has been cheating on the Kingpin the whole time. This sucks.
Yes.
Matt won't reveal his identity to his new girlfriend. We're going to write Karen and Foggy out of the show. Dude, this sucks.
And you know what? As much as I was getting frustrated with the show, and this makes me even more frustrated, because as soon as Karen came back, it felt right.
It felt better.
In those scenes.
It felt better.
And it's like, God damn, I wish she was in the fucking whole show.
Because she means something to us as a character.
She really does, and she's so well done.
I was explaining who she is to Frank, to Kelly.
Yeah.
I was like, she is a huge player in Frank's life.
Yeah.
She's the one person that believes in Frank as a genuine human being, not as the Punisher, not as a goal or a means to an end, but as an actual human being. She sees Frank Castle and says, you're still able to be redeemed.
Yeah.
And he says, nah, I'm way past redemption at this point. I love Karen.
She's so great.
I love Deborah Ann Woll.
Deborah Ann Woll does such a fantastic job.
I love everything about her in this role, and you've just ruined her. I love Foggy. I love Eldon Hess or whatever. I can't remember his name, but he was great. He wasn't amazing as an actor, but he always played the role of Foggy great.
Perfectly.
What have you done?
Yeah.
Where's Mahoney? We have Cherry and this other cop, and nobody cares about who they are. I know Brett Mahoney. I spent a lot of time with Brett Mahoney. Mm-hmm. Where's D.A. Towers? We spent a lot of time with D.A. Towers on multiple shows. D.A. Towers and Mahoney were both in The Defenders. Mm-hmm. Where are they here? What's going on? What's happening?
It's, once again, they don't know what they wanted to do with this show.
No.
They wanted to try to get fans like us back by attaching it to the Netflix shows, but then they went and fucked it all up.
They wanted a fresh start, too. They wanted a full, fresh start while also trying to pay homage to the original. It's like, no, we don't want a fresh start. We want the show. We want you to bring back the show, okay? We don't want you to do some alternate version of the show. We want you to bring back the fucking show, and we want you to have your writers actually watch the show and take notes, so when they're writing the next few seasons of this show, it aligns with what happened last time.
Yes. And they easily could have.
Easily. This is so fucking easy.
Yes.
I'm sitting here being an idiot. Without any prep time, without anything, pulling stuff out of my ass, and it's better than what they gave us with an entire team of people. Unacceptable.
Because they're lazy.
It's terrible.
It's such lazy writing.
It's terrible writing. It's terrible writing top to bottom. And it's just always so frustrating because, like, Charlie Cox, like I said, is so dynamic and good in the show.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a single scene that he was in that I can point to and be like, he was okay in that, but I didn't really believe him. He's good. Top to bottom, the entire show. Wilson Fisk is as good as he can be. Vincent D'Onofrio does what he can with the role, but he's been given a real shit show of a situation. Yeah. And from having them actually portray him as smaller in stature to the characterization that they give him.
Like, the closest he was to the OG one from the first 3 seasons was this last episode.
Was the last episode.
Because they did make him look bigger. Like, he did look, again, like he was back to his... And he just wasn't emasculated like he was.
But he's still doing weird things that we hadn't seen the Kingpin do, where he has these weird bursts of laughter.
Yeah.
That was never a characterization that he had. That was not a thing.
He's a very serious.
I don't understand what's going on. You can have the tics. I like the tics where he's like playing with his fingers and stuff, and he clearly has a tic and other things going on in his head. You can do that. That's great. That was in the original. This is weird, and I don't get it. It's like the Panama hat and the Hawaiian shirt and the fucking eye scar and all this other stuff. All the other weird things that you've done with him. The maroon suit. All of it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know what you were trying for. I don't know if this was supposed to be more closer to a G-rated so that parents could show their kids if they felt up to it or something.
There's no way.
Like that's what I'm saying.
The violence is insane in this, especially his final episode.
So you didn't make it for the core fans, because if you were actually making it for the core fans, you would have paid attention to the original show and paid homage to it. You're not making it for the comic book fans because you would have actually paid homage to the comic books if you were doing that. And you're not making it for children because no child would be allowed to watch the show. So who are you making it for?
And I really, and I hate to say this because I do love Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, I want the show to tank so bad because they need their projects to keep tanking before they get the hint.
Well, they need,
because they're never going to get the hint.
They need a Snow White come to God moment.
I don't, and that's the thing is I don't know if it'll be like Fantastic Four tanks.
Yeah,
I think Fantastic Four is kind of their version of James Gunn's Superman.
Yeah,
where it's like this is our reboot.
Oh, the whole thing is like another reboot.
Yeah,
in the same way that Daredevil was kind of a reboot.
Yeah,
you know, I think that's why they call it Born Again, is because A, that is a comic title that'll get people's eyes.
Yep.
But B, it was this admission of, listen, we're going to do it again, but it's not going to be the same thing. It's going to be different, but it's going to be the same. But it's going to be different, but it's going to be the same, but it's going to be different. It's going to be wholly different and definitely different. And we're not going to talk about Matt's mom. And Karen's not going to be in the show. She's going to be in San Francisco.
And we're going to kill off his best friend.
We're not going to have any of the newspapers. There were like 3 newspapers in the show. None of them are in the show anymore. No. We're going to have BB Urich, who is the shame of Ben Urich. He would be ashamed of her. Mm. He would be so embarrassed to have her as a niece. Yeah. Oh, my God. Oh my God. The fact that she didn't know that Kingpin killed her uncle? Are you insane? What kind of journalist are you? What is this? What is this?
And they tried to fix her when she was at the party talking to the commissioner, and she said, well, I'm just trying to get in because I want to take him down. And it's like,
no,
you can't
play both sides.
No.
You're either on the Angels or you're not. Yeah. And right now you are not on the Angels. And Ben Urich himself would tell you that.
Yeah.
You are not on the side of the Angels.
Because you can't stop the bad guy after helping him get what he wants.
No, you've given him everything he wants.
Exactly.
You've given him everything he wants.
The Muse headline was what he wanted, and it made the task force something that he could get away with.
Yeah.
And that was, like, how many people died because
of given him legitimateness.
Yes.
And now he doesn't need to hide anymore.
Yeah.
You've given him everything he wanted. You are not on the side of the Angels. You are as bad as he is.
Yep.
And I don't care what your intent was. Intent doesn't matter anymore because you fucking screwed the pooch!
And this is, once again, the MCU finding a way of fucking up a strong female character because they could have made her like a Lois Lane type person.
I wanted her to be running Frontline, which is Ben Urich's actual newspaper. I wanted her to be running frontline and for her to be in Kingpin's crosshairs the entire time. The entire time she should be worried about being attacked by Kingpin. It should end with her having to be saved by someone like White Tiger or someone else. Not Daredevil, but another superhero should have to step up and protect her because Matt is too busy doing other things. Yeah. Again, this isn't hard to write. I am pulling this out of my ass. It is so simple. All you have to do is tweak a few things on the machine and it all lines up and glows. Okay? But this is Black Widow all over again. You have all of the pieces here.
Yes.
It's all ready to go. And instead, you decided to put whipped cream on the meatloaf. And I don't know why. And you thought that this was some insane, really prescient thing that you were doing. But to me, it looks like you're an idiot who doesn't know how things work.
I like that one, whipped cream on the meatloaf.
The gravy goes on the meatloaf, dumb shit.
Don't ever put whipped cream on the meatloaf, listeners.
God damn it.
All right.
Unless you like sweet with your salt, your savory. God. Yeah, it's a bad combo.
All right, friends and enemies. That was episode 158 of Nerdpod Generations.
I'm
we
so
hope you
warm.
enjoy it. Nothing like ending our episodes with rants. We just absolutely love it. So we will continue on with Daredevil whenever it restarts again. But next week, we should be discussing at least some, if not all of Andor. Depends on what we can watch.
Did all of it drop?
I think they're dropping the whole thing tomorrow.
Really?
Okay. I think they're dropping the whole series, but I don't think it's a lot of episodes.
I thought it was getting 2 drops. I thought it was like 3 episodes and then 3 episodes or something.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see.
We'll
I'm
see.
not 100% sure, but
the only thing
either
we
way,
can
we'll be
say,
talking about it.
The only thing we can say is that Andor will be on the menu next week.
Yes, it will be on the menu.
Daredevil season 2 is shooting now, so that's great. Again, Disney lied to us. They said they had a shit ton of these in the can. That was a lie.
Absolute lie.
That was a full-on lie. And honestly, Disney, I'm getting real tired of the shit.
Yeah.
Where you tell me one thing, and then when it comes out, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Knock it the fuck off.
It's so fucking annoying. So, Nerdpod Generations, episode 158. We really hope you enjoy it. Once again, please go back, listen to our back catalog, and check us out at nerdpodgen.com. So, Al, who does our music and artwork?
Oh, my God, I gotta focus. Okay. Our music is by James Connolly and Brendan Williams. Our art is by Kortney Howell. I am Alfred Judson.
And I'm Steve Taylor.
I'm running a fever.
Yes, you are.
I need to go outside.
You got a fever.
Oh, my God.
The only thing that'll get you is more cowbell.
I love Hornhead, and you hurt my boy.
Yes.
You hurt my boy, and I knew you were going to, and I was sitting here like, maybe. No, they ruined your boy.
They ruined it.
All right, friends
folks.
and enemies. We'll be back next week.
Peace.
See ya.